What's up? I'm back again. This is going to be super short. Thank you, first of all, guys, to everybody who's reached out, whether you read the book, you've looked at the book, you've given just like good words of praise or whatever it may be for the picks or anything else. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. If you don't already know this is your first time to your channel, I don't try to sell you guys anything. I'm doing this mainly because football is just like a passion of mine. I just truly enjoy studying it, reading about it, looking at it, sharing info with you guys. So if I can, find a way to make any money with it, whether it's affiliates or anything like that, I appreciate it. But that's not really the main concern. That all being said, guys, unfortunately, we did drop the first play of the season, which was the Hall of Fame game under 33.5. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably already heard that or read that, or obviously you already knew that if you watched the game and if you've been paying attention to the channel. Great line value, which, that's always something to kind of rest your head on, right? Yeah, it comes away with the loss, but essentially it was, Jaguars putting up 8 points in the fourth quarter. They really didn't do anything, didn't matter, just kind of a throwaway touchdown. Everybody else had it on the under at the end of everything, or right before the kickoff started, I should say. I saw some 29.5s popping up, which was just crazy. We took it at 33.5 way back in, I want to say, like the end of June, and it just kept getting hammered and hammered and hammered. One of my last videos before the game actually took place had it down to 30, and then, like I said, it got down to 29.5. So the reason I'm bringing up the closing line value isn't just to, stroke my own ego here or whatever you may stroke. It's really just to say, you can have everything right, guys. You can put in the time, the work, have a good angle, everything that you need to do to be a successful, handicapper, and it's still not going the right way. You're not going to win 100%. I've said that a million times. I've preached that a million times. It's just the way it is. That being said, though, if you find yourself consistently getting good line value, it is just kind of a little notch in the belt to say the process is there. You're doing it the right way. And that's really, as a handicapper, especially if you decide to go full-time or do this professionally, that's really what you would have to lay your hat on, is just like, hey, look, I got my process down right. I'm, on the right side. It's not just me. I'm not going against this, the sharps out there in the sports books. It's just the way it is. So, that being said, let's get back on track. Let's go ahead and look forward to some new plays and see what's going on. For week 2 of the preseason, or week 1, I guess, really week 1, but they call it week 2 via the NFL. I don't have a whole lot of plays out there. I put a couple pennies on one play, and this is really just more to get some action down, so don't tell me on this one unless you absolutely think it's a good angle. And that is just the Giants playing against the Patriots to go over 33.5. So we actually are going to get the same number at the 33.5. The reason for this one, though, or the reason for the play, is that the Patriots the last couple years here have actually been putting in a lot of effort into the preseason. Bill Belichick has put at least some sort of emphasis on trying to win these games. I don't have his exact record here in front of me, but I want to say he's at least 2-2 each of the last 3 years, and I believe last year was actually, 2-2 the years that there were 4 games, and then last year I believe it was 2-1. But either way, he does have a winning track record here over the last about 5 years or so worth of preseason. And it's not just that he's winning the games, it's that they're also putting up some pretty big numbers. They're putting up between 20 and 28 points in the preseason. Now, this year is a little bit different. They don't really have an offensive coordinator, quote-unquote, established just yet. Same thing with a defensive coordinator. So whoever it is, whether it's whether it's Matt Patricia or Joe Judge or whoever's calling plays, is most likely going to be coaching like it's for their job. They're going to want to put up some points and show that they should be the coordinator. At least that's my narrative behind it. Who knows? Maybe Bill is going to be the one who's calling the plays. But these guys are going to want to put up a show and kind of install a new offense. It's going to be obviously different from last year's. Aside from that, that's really the Patriots side of the ball. That's kind of where that's going to end. But on the Giants side, we also have Brian Daboll. You guys know I love him. I love Wink Martindale. I love that whole coaching staff, the new GM, everything about that team. And this is coming from a Cowboys fan. I think the Giants are going to have a lot of success in the near future. But this year in particular, when we see new coaches, and this is something I should have taken into my handicapping for the Hall of Fame game, but with these new coaches, if they give any shit at all, 2 shits or 1, about the preseason, they end up wanting to make some sort of statement, not necessarily for us, not for the media, not for anything like that, but to the guys on the team, to the guys in that locker room. They want to let them know that they have a process, just like us with our handicapping. They want to let those players know that they have a process, their process is working, they're going to be able to put up some points and win some games. So typically they want to go out there and at least have a good showing, obviously with the understanding that safety's going to come first. They don't want to bang up their whole team before the season actually gets going. So I do expect Brian Daboll to put some sort of effort in this and to at least try to put up some points, if not trying to get the win. They, in Buffalo, really didn't have a whole lot of wins in their preseason, but they were putting up some good points. So it tells me he maybe uses this as a time to get some reps in, to kind of, run some plays, see what's going to work, what's not, while kind of, obviously keeping his cards close to his chest. So, again, I'm not going to say one team's going to win or the other. If I had to say, just a straight winner, I'd probably go Patriots. But more importantly, I'm taking the over on this game because I do think that you're going to see both teams go out there and try to put up some points, try to make a statement, and kind of leave their team with an overall good feeling. So you're going to look to score some points, and I have this one handicapped at about a 24-17 game. Obviously, that stuff can go wrong. It's a very low play. I'm going to do this one for about a quarter unit. This is just kind of also to get myself in the rhythm of betting weekly and getting the right numbers and all that kind of stuff. It's preseason for us too, guys. So let's just take advantage of it. If you want to handicap that or if you want to tell that. If not, feel free to put your own preseason plays, in the comments below. I'm curious to see them as well. I'm always looking for some good preseason angles. On to the regular season. The Colts at Texans. We had already talked about this as far as the Texans getting the 8 points. I still think that's really, really good value. I do think the Texans are going to cover that 8. And we've gone over all the different reasons as to why that is. The Colts are 0-8 in their season openers. The Colts just don't have a really fast pace of play. Frank Reich is just notoriously a slow starter. The Texans overall should be better than what is expected via the Madden algorithm and even just via my own eyes in kind of, the eyeball test. I think they are a little bit better than what the books are giving them credit for, and a lot of people not wanting to touch the dogs in week 1 because the public likes to bet favorites. So I think you're going to get some value by taking the 8 points there. But, as I looked at this more and more, I did find out I actually like the under more than the 8 points. And so I may even be looking to parlay the two together. But let me give you some reasons as to why I like the under on this one. So, of the last 8 seasons, like we said, the Colts have not put up a win to open the season. But aside from that, the Colts only average about 19. I'm sorry, that is the Texans that average about 19.5 points in season openers. The Colts actually only average about 18.5 points to open the season for the last 3 years. So we have the Colts looking to put up about 18, 19 points, and then we also have the Texans looking to put up, and that's not necessarily the Texans, but Lovie Smith, because he is their new coach. He was averaging about 19.5 points in season openers. That is lifetime. So he was a coach with the Bears, and he was a coach again with the Buccaneers from 2014 to 15. Now, in 2014 and 15, Lovie Smith actually went 0-2 in his season openers, and in both of those games only put up 14 points. Now, again, going back to lifetime stats, Lovie Smith is 5-7 in all-time openers, and of the 5 wins that he obviously won, 4 of them stayed under the total of 44, and really all 4 of those did stay under their respective totals as well. So he's about 1-4 to the under for just all 5 of those starts with the Bears, and then another 0-2 with the Buccaneers. So another coach who has a notoriously slow start. Now that is kind of scary as far as taking the Texans to win in some sort of upset, but grabbing 8 points really does still make sense here because we're looking at. Sorry about that, guys. We had a lot of stuff going on here. But it does make sense because we have two teams that are looking to put up some low points and hopefully get a win via their defense and or their run game. And what that tells me is that this is going to most likely be a very low-scoring game with points coming at a premium. And even if the Colts are able to finally get that monkey off their back and get the win to start the season, I have this game handicapped at about 21-14. Which means the 8 you're going to grab with Houston should be more than enough. But aside from that, that's also estimating that the Colts actually come out and get the win. So it's very possible that the Texans pull out the upset here and do some sort of like 17-14 kind of game. I know usually we give ourselves a full standard deviation from what our expected points are, which is 7 points for each team. Honestly, I'm going to say we have one standard deviation for the full game total in this particular case, or a half a standard point for each one, which should be about 3 to 3.5 points. So I could see this game being like a 24-10, 21-17, somewhere in there, but I did not see this game, regardless of who ends up being the winner, I do not see this being some sort of blowout, some sort of shootout. And on top of all this, it is a divisional game. And as we've covered before, the first game in the divisional matchups are usually the lower scoring games. Both teams being kind of conservative. Both teams understanding that they're going to have to come and play these guys again. So they don't want to let all the cards out or take the rabbits out of the hats just yet. So for all these reasons, guys, I love the under 44. That's going to be one of my best plays for week 1 and one of my biggest plays. Aside from that, though, let's say that you lay a unit on that under 44, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take another quarter unit, and I'm going to parlay the two. I'm going to take the Texans plus the 8 with the under 44. And again, like we've said before, you only want to parlay things that are somewhat correlated or actually very much correlated. And in this case, we really do have a great correlation here because if the Texans win the game or they cover the 8-point spread, odds are it is probably a low-scoring game. And so I'm going to put those two together for the better payout. Depending on where you're at, you're looking at about 2.5 to 1 or 2 to 1, just depending on which book you're using. But that's my favorite play. Last thing here, guys, or should I say, that's my new play for week 1, and the rest will be listed below. But aside from that, guys, I am starting up a podcast. It's going to be called NFL Nuggets. It's going to be different from the YouTube channel, meaning that it's not the same content. It's not just me replaying this over again for a podcast. It's going to actually be different tidbits, different tips, different tricks. Most likely the same plays themselves, but maybe different reasoning, different content, and some things that I may not even discuss on the YouTube channel, mainly because it's just easier for me to create audible content from really anywhere that I need to and kind of put everything together quickly, timely, and get it out to you guys as quickly as possible, especially once we get into the season and get everything going. So, thanks again, guys. I hope this video was helpful and informative. I hope some of you will follow me on at least the Colts play, if not the preseason play. Thanks again. Good luck, and I'll see y'all again later this week.